This is a Poeartistry Gold Moment by the author James Lynch.
I want to talk about the greatest of all the Orientals during that time, that location of the world, background. And who is this? Well, I'm actually talking about Bible history, so I'm talking about Job. And there's only a few uh, examples that I want to bring out from that account that really meant a lot. And it was the trials that Job was going through. I want to mention how Job made quite a few expressions. You can tell he was a educated man in spiritual matters. He was a man of immense goodness, also wealth and abundance. Did you know that even though he was an expressive man when he was going through his trials, you will also notice he was a humble man too. So sometimes it's hard to maybe see the comparison, if you will, of somebody who is standing their ground and yet somebody who is humble as well. So the way that you can look at matters or observe at times is that it's the way the person stands their ground. You see? Now, I always like to mention, because of our different personalities and what we may be experiencing, we can get very, very expressive, even on a level that Job was, but it doesn't mean that you're not humble. It doesn't mean that you're not reasonable when you're really dealing with reasonable people, when you're dealing with reasonable persons. For example, and welcome to this Poeartistry Gold moment. For example, when Job had persons that he was talking to about his trials, these are persons who knew him for some time, and he even considered them friends. Yet, when his trial hit upon his life, if you read the book of Job, observe how they responded to him during that time. Okay. And so then, even the statements they were making, and even more accusations that they were making, Job stood up. He stood his ground. So at this time, those persons, even some of the stuff they were saying, uh, maybe were right in themselves, in principle, at least, in some of the statements they were making, but the whole tone and spirit of why they were doing it, why they were saying it, was just a negative, bad taste that was being left in Job's mouth. So that goes to show you again that even if you got some right things to say, some good things to say, it's also the way that you would deliver it to the person, um, with dignity, you see, and respect as well, as I like to say. So, talking about Job humility, there were, or maybe I would say, really just one, where maybe some people say more. So, the whole point is, maybe what Job was confused about on some matters, when God talked to him and made it clear, you see what I'm saying, about his vast knowledge and why he even allowed certain things. He was basically telling Job, or showing Job, that, yes, I have the power to do anything and everything. Yet, you will notice that I still allowed this to happen to you anyway. And we know now from reading that book and the rest of the holy books that are in the Bible, why God allowed it to go on for as long as it did, even though that account I've asked this before. You just don't really know how long that trial went on. But you know what? I say again, I don't think it lasted as long as some people may think it lasted, as far as that period. I really don't. And some people could probably already verify to you that trial was not, that even God allowed to go on, was not just drawn out for the rest of Job's life, you see. So, with that being said, once God asked Job these questions, notice the way Job responded to God. And he even said to God, I thought I knew you before, but I know you even more now. That's basically what Job was saying. And so, this is what I want to share with you, perceptive reader. You can be a humble person. And yet, remember when I told you God reserves prayers? And he still reserves the right, and he does exercise that right, to deal with us even individually, even, you see, with our prayers. And although he has a structure, remember, he has a structure, even a family structure, and it even goes into a hierarchical, you see, type of role of responsibilities. Yet, at any given time, God doesn't have to just say, I'm having my secretary angel over here just deal with you in this way, or my prayers, or what have you. Now, I'm not leaving out the other books in the Bible like Daniel, and we see that angels are like messengers. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm still saying is, just like examples in the Bible from the prophets and even Moses, if there's something that's weighing heavily on your mind, and there's no other way as well that you will be able to get the help. It could be even on your finances and things of that nature. And when God gives a gift too, I like to say, some people say, or they'll read it just like it says in the Bible, that he adds no pain with it. I'm also going to say, yeah, he doesn't add any BS with it. You see, for some persons, what they experience, when it really matters, you see, God is very clear, and sometimes again, you see a proactiveness where it's almost like he knows this person has been through a very hard time, and then you still have human nature and philosophy that is still play games with you. But God has shown he certainly doesn't go according to the human ways of interaction at times. He just does it. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But see, that's the whole point. As humans, what type of personality do you have? Are you the type of person who's proactive and even have the experience and wisdom to know when to stop playing around with somebody in this way or that way? Well, take an example from Job, this account, and God himself. This was a Poeartistry Gold moment. Have a very wonderful day.